Brilliant stuff. Great. Well, thanks very much, Taralouise, for getting in touch and getting onto the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time out your day to have a chat with us.
No, thank you very much. It's exciting. I've been listening to your past ones, like it's very.
Very good. Thanks very much. I've been having a couple of podcast guests on the last week or so. I've kind of started it
Yeah.
back up, and I just love talking to people about their business and how they started their business, why they're really interested in entrepreneurship. And thanks very much for showing interest in anyway. So to kick it off, I suppose, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do currently.
Yeah, so I own a business called Zinc Media Agency. And it's a predominantly digital marketing, but social media management is kind of my forte, really. That's how it started. But now I cover everything from events to website creation, content creation, digital marketing. The whole thing when I started up Zinc was to be a one-stop shop. Like, I've worked in this industry for about 12 years now. And I was kind of fed up when I was working for businesses having to go to like 7 different things to get the one. So I was like, if I started my own, I'd have it all under one umbrella. And I had the contacts for that. So I have photographers and videographers and all that. So that's kind of what I do, as well as being a mum, so that's kind of coming to full force at the minute.
That's interesting. I want to talk to you about being a mom and running your business, because in the past couple of weeks I got great news that my girlfriend is pregnant. So I have all.
Congratulations!
Thanks very much. I have all this ahead of me, and I'm a nervous wreck.
Do you want the truth then, or do you want it filtered?
I definitely want the truth. Yeah, I want the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, there's a lot of ugly. No, it's not all bad. Like, obviously at the minute the world's not the world; it's upside down. Like, so on the other side of that door, I have 2 kids homeschooling, and my baby is away. Thank God. Like, I had to kind of get her, make sure she was out the house, otherwise she'd be in here with us. So it is. It's a battle, but it's not kind of there's worse things that could be happening.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure it's all manageable. I'd say it's stressful now, but I reckon it's doable. And like you said, a lot of people like yourself and I'll get it done. So fair play to you. And anyway, so you're kind of in the same realm as me, kind of digital agency, a media agency yourself. You do websites, social media. So that's cool that we're in the same industry.
Yeah.
I'd like to find out about, so maybe when you were growing up in school, and what interests did you have growing up? Because I always wonder, why did someone want to become an entrepreneur and run their own business? So maybe it was something in your past. So if you want to just talk us through.
It definitely was. This actually came up the other day on Instagram. Someone was like, "Oh, what did you want to be when you were growing up?" And I was kind of like, God, I always remember I wanted to be a drama teacher, and then I was like, thank God I did not get into that. But I was also into like the design part, like it's called like DT. So I'm originally from the Wirral, so I'm by Liverpool, and
Right, yeah.
I moved over here like 12 years ago. So I went to school over there. So we did a thing called design technology. I'm not sure what it's called over here, but one of my projects that we did for like GCSEs was to design, like you have to design something. And I ended up designing a nightclub, and I was convinced, I was like, all right, I'm gonna build this nightclub. I'm gonna, like, in real life, build this nightclub. I'm gonna run this nightclub. I'm gonna be one of them like bad bitches that you see. Like I was convinced I was gonna have this nightclub in Concert Square in Liverpool, and that was gonna be my life. So, and I also did business from literally the minute you could change your subjects. Of 14, 15, I picked business as well. And my dad always said I could always pick what subjects I was into, because the only ones that I passed, and it was business, design, and drama. Everything else went out the window. It was kind of, they were my main things. And I've always knew I wanted to own a business. I think trying to pick what I wanted to own that business in was where I kind of jumped from things. But I always knew that I was going to be either self-employed or run my own thing. Like,
brilliant. So at what point did you start your current business? And anyway, and talk us through what it was like to start your business. Like, what emotions were you feeling? Were you terrified? Were you excited? Like, how did you actually even get like your first couple of clients in the door?
Yeah, so as I said before, I moved over to Bundoran. So I'm in Bundoran in Donegal. So it's like, have you ever been here? It's like
I haven't, no.
Literally, it's a small seasonal town. Like, the I think it's like 2,000 residents like throughout the year, but then it like triples during the summer. And so I kind of moved from the city to here, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do with my life? So I kind of got in with like the local business here and like, helped them kind of, that was kind of the start of social media really. Like, it was like just a Facebook page and stuff like that. And I took a real keen interest in promoting the businesses that I was working in, and primarily it was all hospitality. I still had this nightclub thing in my head. I was like, I'm going to run a pub and I'm going to do this. And there was a festival called Sea Sessions. So I'm sure you probably Sea Sessions. I've worked with Sea Sessions now since the very start, and it was like one blue tent and one bar and all this, and it really just grabbed my attention. I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And it was the event side. So every year then I carried on working with them, and I was doing little things, and I was working for other people, and it just never felt right, kind of like, maybe I just have a problem with authority. It was just like, I just didn't like the, if I didn't feel like it was going somewhere, I got annoyed with myself. So I was like, you know what, right, I'll go self-employed. And I ended up actually starting an event company.
All right, yeah.
So I primarily started doing events for Stag and Hens. And that so this is kind of where Zinc kind of came into it then. So I was doing that, but I pigeonholed myself. And then I closed that then. I actually started that on maternity with my second son. Just because I got bored. And I was like, this is not a business. And then I closed that then, and I was like, I want to do more. Like, I'd been interested in social media. I'm that generation where social media, I grew up with it. We were 13 and we got the first phones and stuff like that. Like, I'm 32 now. So, I've been with it from the start, and I have such a passion for it that I was just like, I can definitely make something out of this. So, I started kind of researching, doing courses and all this different things. And then I was doing it. People were asking me to do things because they were like, oh, you do that, don't you? You do social media. Will you do a few posts for us? Or will you do this and you do that? And it kind of started going word of mouth then. And all of a sudden then I had like 4 or 5 clients, but they weren't, I just thought they're like, oh, just people I'm doing jobs for.
Yeah.
And then someone said to me, like, you can make a business out of this. And I was like, can I though? And they were like, yeah, like, why are you not doing this? So 2 years ago, actually, I sat down and I was like, right, I'm just going to do it. And I quit my full-time job. And I literally went hell for leather with Zinc. So I started off with 5, which I turned into clients. I was just kind of doing things.
Yeah.
And then it just kept growing, and it all grew from word of mouth, really.
That's brilliant.
For itself, which is great.
That's really lovely to hear, because I echo that. I kind of started off with no clients at all. I just kind of started off, but everything has been through word of mouth for me. That way we haven't spent €1 on advertising or anything like that, and it really is like the work that you do. So maybe that's the same for a lot of service-based businesses and a lot of service-based entrepreneurs.
Yeah, if your work can't speak for itself and your clients are not talking about you to someone else, then maybe you're not doing it right. Like, that is your advertisement. Your word of mouth is your clients, because it came from going, geez, your social media is very good, who did that for you? And then all of a sudden you get a message, oh, I see in so-and-so's post, did you make them? And it's like, oh yeah. And they're like, do you fancy doing it for us? And that's for especially the industry that we're in, our work speaks for us. There's no point of us doing adverts, because everyone is a social media expert these days. I think showing our work, or people seeing our work and then going, who did that? Like, I need to find out who did that. Like, I think that's what works best, especially for our industry anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And you just said something before we went into that tangent, just about networking. How important was that for you and your business? Like you said, you had a couple of clients initially, but how did you grow your network, or do you even focus on your network now?
So before COVID, it was, networking events. So like, there's a big thing called Donegal Women in Business.
Right.
They're like primarily Donegal, but it's all female entrepreneurs. They're all together and they meet up once a month, and you have a coffee and you have a chat and you talk about, what you do. So it was kind of a lot of network events like that, which put the fear of God into me, to be honest. Like, for a social person, I suffer really bad with anxiety. And the thought of sitting in a room with all these women, like, and then the imposter syndrome sets in, and you're like,
yeah,
actually do I know what I'm talking about? What if someone quizzes me? You
yeah.
And you freak out. You're like, oh my God. And so it was a lot of that. But now I do a lot of networking through Instagram. Like, so kind of I research like where I look into hashtags and I look at like different ones, or the groups on Facebook, how we met, you
Yeah.
know, it's all kind of online. I feel a lot more comfortable that way than actually standing in a room going, hi, like,
Yeah,
hello.
I kind of feel the same as well. But I'm such a people person, but then I'm also kind of a little bit, like I said, imposter syndrome and everything. So when you walk into a room, it is a little bit nerve wracking. But I kind of do miss the interaction and engaging,
Yeah,
because you do get a bit of a different energy when it's in real life rather than through like the screen and everything. So I'm really looking forward to kind of putting myself out there again once everything kind of calms down and we can go out again.
yeah. Oh, I do. And I think networking events are going to be massive because this COVID has brought in a lot of new startup businesses and a lot of people that have took they've lost their full-time job that they've been like, right, okay, like
Yeah,
maybe sitting like us a few years ago going, I can actually do this for myself. So there's going to be a whole different new industry than what we would have known a year or two ago. So I'm excited for that as well, like to go in, because I love startups. I love listening to, same as yourself, people's business stories. Like it gives, and that's kind of who I primarily work with, is like startup or small businesses, because I don't think they haven't lost that spark yet. They still love their business and they're still like, my
yeah,
business is brilliant. But I think when you work with like corporate or businesses that have been going a while, they're kind of just like, yeah, I know I have to do marketing. Like, they've lost
yeah.
that kind
It's
of
kind of
spark.
lost that kind of
Yeah.
spark, the passion in it. And yeah, and if you work with a company that's like really big, big corporate clients, like they might not have started the company, they might not be the founder. It
Mhm.
might just be a job for them, whoever, like the point of contacts, like say the marketing manager in there or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you lose that kind of enthusiasm and the passion. Not with everyone, but it
I
is a
know with
deal
everyone,
breaker.
I thrive off that. Like, and it gets me excited then for that. Like I got into mentoring and I buzz off it. Like it literally, it's like it lights something in my fire, like, my belly. I'm just like
Yeah,
hearing people so passionate about their business. And like, there'd be days when you're exhausted and like, especially when you've got the kids as well. Like, you like my focus has had to shift. Like, I'm teaching now, like I'm homeschooling, I'm doing this, and I have a 1-year-old running around. So when I come to do my own stuff, like, my clients are in a pecking order. So once I get down to my own business, I'm exhausted and I'm
yeah.
done. And I'm just like, I have no motivation left. But then listening to these ones that I'm mentoring, I'm like, this is why I start my business. Like, this is why I love my business.
Yeah.
And
So
so
how did you actually get into mentoring? Because that's an interesting one. Like, would it be other business women that you mentor, or would it be any small business, or maybe someone even looking to start a business? Tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, so it started last year, really. I was doing so I do like social media training, and I was doing one-to-ones because people sometimes don't work well in groups, so they want to sit more tailored to themselves. And I found when I was doing them sessions, it wasn't really a training session. It started turning into kind of a conversation, or we'd go off on something else and it'd be just kind of that. And then I was thinking like, maybe there was something in this then. And I kind of was researching like mentor and stuff. And then I got approached by an account I follow on Instagram going, I really think you'd be a great mentor. I have someone looking for social media and marketing. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And they're like, oh, just try it. And I was like, okay. So I tried it and I loved it. And I was like, I just
Buzzing.
loved it. And yeah, I was like, God, like I couldn't wait every, like, it was a 4-week thing. And I couldn't wait then to get chatting. And I think because it was a man, like, I haven't worked out this way, but I primarily work with women,
Right.
so, and it was a man and it was different to listen to it that way. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then when the feedback came in, I was like, oh, wow. Like, like he was saying, like, I feel really awkward saying, he was like, it's changed my life. She's put stuff in perspective. I kind of had an idea what I wanted to do. And then she's like really focused me on it. And he grew so much in the 4 weeks. So then I kind of stayed with that person. Now I'm with another mentoring group called mentorher.ie. They're a big Irish one.
Right.
And I started the mentoring with them, and I'm with a principal, like, and I'm just like, how the hell have I been paired with this person? But then people started coming to me when I said that, I'm doing these mentoring, and I must have done about 10 to 20 mentoring sessions the end of last year. It was just
Wow.
real. Yeah, it was
Fair
really,
play to you.
you know, but it's great. Like, but it is good. When you feel like you have that knowledge, like that you think other people could benefit from it, and it
Yeah.
sometimes just takes that conversation for it to spark. And then, like, you're not telling them what to do, you're just kind of guiding them and saying, well, I've done that and it didn't work, or or you might know contacts that they won't know, and you can put people in touch. It's
That's
just
what
nice.
it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and I really do enjoy it. I didn't think that I'd enjoy it as much as I did, but I do.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do something like that now. I'd probably have to, when everything is back up and running, start meeting with people and try and get into that, because it sounds really interesting. And once again, you get to talk to other entrepreneurs and you get to talk about business, which is great.
Yeah.
Something that happened a couple of weeks ago, a girl that I went to college with, she got in touch. She does a youth program down in Dublin, and there's an entrepreneur part of that, and she's asking me when the schools and all are back open, I get to go in to local schools and I get to talk to them about entrepreneurship, because she's seeing that I started the podcast off again, and she was like, we're just looking for a business person or like an entrepreneur who can actually relate to the kids that are local, make them see that like you don't actually necessarily have to go down like the corporate path. There is alternative ways to make money. You can do that online, and she says you just fit the bill, and I'm really looking forward to it, because it's, once again, you get to talk to kids and you get to talk to them about business and like the opportunities. So hopefully I can transfer all that into them, and then they can go off and do it.
Yeah.
I think just back to your point though as well, like, so you're a working mother from home, you have 3 kids. I feel, now I could be totally wrong, I'm not sure, but I feel a lot of women who are at home, they don't see it as an actual avenue for themselves. Like, they think, oh, I might not be able to make money, or I have to stay at home, I can't work. But there's actually, like, this whole online thing now is like, just everyone can make money from doing anything, whether it's like creating content, the blog posts, doing videos, and maybe they could learn a skill like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and they could just like really hone that. They can create websites. Like, so is there opportunities for Irish women to actually do that? Like, or what would you recommend, or any advice to Irish women who would maybe haven't thought of like the digital space? Like, what would you advise them to kind of get started?
It's definitely do it. Like, I started 2 businesses off, like one on maternity, one just as I got pregnant, and I worked all the way up. It is hard. I'm not going to say that it's not. Like, you have to find a balance, but there is, just because you're a mom doesn't mean like that's 100% what you do want, that you have to be. If you've got to get into like to have a business, or even just to, there's so much freelance opportunities, that you can go in and, you're not tied then to a contract. So I think that's what kind of put mums off, is that you're like, God, if the kids get sick, then I have to phone in. I'm like, right, I can't work there, I can't do this, I can't do that. So there's always something coming up. And I think, nothing against men or dads, but it kind of, I think that always comes down to the mum. Like, it's kind of, if the kid's sick, it's the mum that stays off, or if something like happens in the school, it's the mum that gets the phone call. So our lives are always having to be, even if we're working full time, we have to stop at the drop of a hat. And I think that puts a lot of mums, especially that have been at home for a while, it gives them kind of puts the fear of God into you, thinking, God, if I go and get a job now when something happens. So doing it from home and doing it in the digital industry gives you that more of a freedom, especially if you do it freelance. If you're just trying to build your confidence up, or just have something that is your own. Because I know when I wasn't working and I was relying on my husband, it really affected me, that I was like, I feel like I'm not my own person anymore. I feel like I'm just mum, and I'm having to ask my husband for money, and it just didn't sit well with me at all. Like, so when I started getting that bit of more freedom, my family life changed. Like, we had a better dynamic in our marriage. I had a better dynamic with my kids, because I felt better in myself, and it, like, so definitely look into it. Even looking at freelancers, if you're a good writer, like, you could write content for people. I'm always looking for content writers, so if they want to, like, but even Facebook ads, like, they can do the Facebook blueprint, and that teaches you them for free how to do ads and management and all this stuff, so it's a great industry to get into, even making the contacts on Instagram and stuff like that. But it's so easy to do around a family, and life in general.
I think like before, like we said, like there was traditional roles and everything, and the mother looked after the kids and everything, but like I feel like the workplace was aimed at men. Obviously it was, and it was
changed,
it's a big change. Like, women struggled to do that, but now with the online stuff, it's like an even playing field now. It's like women have a immense opportunity to kind of jump in the digital scene, whatever that might be, pick up a skill and just carry out work, that way. So it's I think it's brilliant for women, especially this digital age and all the opportunities that are
And it's
involved.
so
And
much support for them as well. Like, you've got the likes of like the Donegal Women in Business, and you've got like the Enterprise Office and the Leo and all that. They favor women, like, getting into business. I'd finish that sentence off before that gets kind of taken out
they
of.
favor women.
They favor women. Jeez, never get a grant again. But they have special programs for that. Like, so, I've like, digital marketing and marketing can be very male dominated industry, like, and a lot of industries are very male dominated, but like, that even keel is coming out, like, there is more women coming up into these jobs, and there is more women doing these stuff, and it is kind of even playing field. But the likes of, the different networks, they have programs, just for women to support them, and they have ones women getting into business, like, when there's like the skill net, they do one for women that have been homemakers and now want to get into, business, and they do it
Yeah.
as well for 50 and 60-year-olds that have, their kids have grown up and they've gone, and all of a sudden they've got the empty nest syndrome, and they're like, what do I do with my life now? And they're starting up businesses as well, because it's the support there for them.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like, you know what I mean? I just think people, well, like whoever it is, if they need a bit of encouragement, then there needs to be groups like that. Do it, that way. Like, it's great that Ireland is like that. So I suppose, what would you be doing over the next, say, 6 to 12 months? Like, we don't know what's going on with COVID, but what would your aspirations be, I suppose, for your business? And what would you like to get done?
I'd like to grow a bit more. I've been kind of picky with my clients and how many I take on, just because juggling everything. But I've got to a point now where I feel like I've plateaued a little bit, and I need an extra bump into something. Like, I have this kind of energy inside me, and I need it to kind of go somewhere. So like my thing was like, I take clients on in 3-month blocks. And like, this month I was like, right, I want 2 new clients on top of what I already have. And I got it. So like next month I want 3 more clients on top of what I already have. So I'm setting goals to myself to grow my business, and also putting out the contacts for, like, I wanted to start a podcast, like, and then I seen your thing and I was like, oh God, that's great. And I've been sitting on this idea for bloody years, and I just haven't had the confidence to do it.
I understand, yeah. I'm very much the same as you. I feel there's a lot of similarities. We kind of like, not judge ourselves, but we're kind of like at the starting line, raring to go. You're raring to go, and then you do it, and then you just fly, that way. But
it is kind of that thing, but it's growing, and also building up my network, that when I do grow, that I have the team there. So as we just were saying, like, if someone wants to get into content creation, like, I'm always looking for that, because I want to grow, but I can only write so much content, So having them people there, the more people I have, like, to support and to do them roles, the more clients I can take on. And I'm telling you now, they're screaming out for stuff, because people that have never been online before are all of a sudden online, and they haven't a clue what to do, and they're freaking out. And they're like, what do I do? What do I write? Do I have to share my dinner on Facebook? I don't understand. They just don't get it. Like, there's a massive gap in our industry at the minute.
Yeah, hopefully we can take advantage of that as agency owners, that way. But
don't go to anyone else, come to
us. Just go to us too, yeah. But I feel as well that, like, there's just, I just can't get over just the amount of opportunity and everything that's out there. We're incredibly lucky as the industry that we're in, because other industries they're finding it difficult, or else they're trying to get online, and we luckily at this point in time have the skills, and we provide the services to help them succeed and stay open. So we're incredibly lucky.
Like, my business, it's been affected is the events. So like, I've no C sessions, I've no festivals, like none of that stuff. Like, there'll be C sessions this year, hopefully, but like last year, that was
fingers crossed.
A massive chunk of my time gone. Like, and a lot of my clients, my seasonal clients, are like June, July, and August, and they didn't come into effect till the end of July and August. So there was a massive, obviously not as much as other people's, but I had to then go, right, well, I'm already online, I already have the skills, how do I adapt? And I came into the website creation, like, and that took off then, so it is adapting, and there is a lot of people that can't adapt, but for us to be able to go, right, well, let's get you online. How can online monitor, like, how can we get you online and somehow that brings in some sort of income, or keeps you out there, so when you do open, the people still know that your brand exists or your business exists.
Yeah, definitely. So Taralouise, within the next 6 to 12 months, right, what are we doing? You are starting a podcast.
Okay.
Is You're starting a podcast. But the thing is, okay, I was afraid. I was like, I actually haven't got a clue how to do any of that. I'm not a sound engineer, but
Yeah.
like, we're literally doing it over a Zoom call. I'm gonna take the audio off this and then post it up onto Spotify and everything like that. Like, it's like, I know the quality might not sound perfect, but it's the act of actually just doing it. And I have
Yeah.
to do it over and over again. And eventually I'll become better at communicating with people. And then I might invest in better equipment, but it's just the act of actually doing it. So if it's something that you really want to do, I'd say you'd have great fun doing something similar to me, like what we're doing now. If you were doing that with other business owners, I think you'd have great fun, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. Because when I was listening to yours, and I went and listened to a few of them because, like, I kind of was like, oh God, do I have to behave? Or I don't know, do I have to? The first thing that came out of your mouth was like dickhead, and I was like, yes! Like, and I was like, yes! And I just relaxed then straight away. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. But you were so human and you were so normal, and I was like, right, I could definitely, like, work off this now, because my anxiety sets in. Like, I said that to you in a message. I was like, God, I feel sick, and you were just like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah,
having a chat.
and that's all we are. We're literally just having a chat. But sometimes I can be a bit of a pirate, with the coarse words. But I
I'm
can't
awful.
help myself.
I swear to God, I'm shocking. Like, I'd be doing like the Facebook lives, and I've had to stop doing them because I lose the run of myself, and I'm like I have a mouth
Yeah,
like a sailor. It's awful.
yeah.
Like,
But I
when
think,
to switch it off sometimes.
yeah, I think there's like two different ideas though. I think, like, when we course and everything, I think a lot of people just see it as authentic, that way. And like, we're not doing it to be like mad or crazy. It's just how you use language, that way. But I think a lot of people kind of relate with that, like you said, and it's like, oh, it could just be normal around this person. This person, I can trust them
Yeah,
a little bit, that way. They're not taking themselves too seriously. But then other people might be like, oh my God, they cursed. And
yeah.
it's like,
It
well,
doesn't suit them,
if you don't want to listen, or if you find it off-putting, like, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
You can't win them all. Everyone can't
I
love you.
do a lot of podcasts, and like, there's a lot of business ones that are very, there in the tie, and like, that's me. And that's not how I do business. And I wouldn't like to come across like that. I had someone say that to me, like, someone followed me on my personal account on Instagram, and then someone followed me on my business, and they're like, would not even think that you were the same person. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, why are you being so serious? And I was like, what? And they were just like, to your Instagram story, you're messing around, you're having the crack. She's like, I'd rather buy off that woman than this woman going, oh, social media, and I was like, all right. So I made a conscious decision then that I'd show a bit more of my personality on my business account, and it's worked because people have messaged me going, oh God, I'd love to work with you. So, maybe I
Yeah.
missed that your marketing,
How did you do that? That's actually interesting, because I actually don't really post much content at all. I'm in a weird position in my business. Well, not so much now, but up until this point, I was so focused on actually doing client work that I didn't have any time to do anything at all. I really dug myself into a job rather than running a business, that way. But so how do you bring out your personality? Because we all have these kind of feelings about, oh, am I professional enough? Am I
Yeah,
am I
that's it.
this? How do you bring your own personality into that? Because that would be very helpful to other people as well.
To be honest, I was very like you. Like, I once I got down the pecking order of clients, once I got to myself, I found it very hard. I found it very hard to market it myself. And I found very hard, how the hell do I market myself? You
Yeah,
know, and I struggled with that. I'll be completely honest, I did. I struggled with that. And I was just like, what do I say? What do I do? And it was more kind of just taking a step back, not overthinking it, and being like, right, okay, putting myself into my clients or my potential clients' feet, and going,
yeah,
right, what would they be looking for? And like, and it's sharing past clients. People buy from people, and they also buy when they know other people are buying. So I started sharing my work, and I never did that before. Like, it's not like I was ashamed of it, but I felt like if I shared it, people would be like, God, look at this one. Like, and I got really paranoid that they think that I was showing off, even though, like,
yeah.
I'm proud of my work and I love my work. So I started showing that a little bit more, and
Mm.
slowly kind of I came on talking, and then I was doing questions, and then I did lives, and oh my god, the live was horrible. I literally, my first live, I was sweating, I was panicking, I was like I was hyperventilating, I was like, what is up with me?
I know, it's so weird, isn't it? Just all those feelings. I resonate with all that. Like
yeah,
anytime I do anything, it's just like I get
dude, I swear to God, I was sweating, I was stuck to the chair. It was horrible. And that was just a bloody Instagram live. But I started then making sure that I was in a safe community. So like, you know, who I was following on Facebook, who I was following on Instagram benefited me as well. And it made me feel safe, even if they weren't following me back. Like, you know, I don't go looking at my followers. I try not to look at that and pinpoint going, oh God, Sally's from down the road and she's very judgmental and she sees my story. And I started overthinking then. So like,
yeah,
I just made sure the people I was following inspired me, and like I would like kind of sort of buzz off them then, you know, so I get their motivation and stuff like that. So if I seen someone on a story and they were like talking about something, they were really energetic, then that gave me kind of, well, I can do that too, you know, and I
yeah,
started slowly doing that, and also treating myself like a client. Like I found that's something that's really helped, and being like, you know, I'm treating my business as I would another client's business, and giving myself that time and that respect to grow, like, you know, to put my content up and to
yeah.
make my own content, because if I don't do that, I'm not going to grow, like, you know, at the end of the day. So I have to put myself up there as well.
Yeah, that all 100% resonates with me, and I agree with everything you're after saying. So I just want to wrap it up with if people are interested in finding more about you or want to get in touch with you or join the groups, where can people find you online? Or maybe you want to like take up one of your services, where can they find you online?
Yeah, so they can find me everywhere. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. I'm now on Clubhouse, which is just like, have you got on that yet?
I have an account, but you have to get verified or someone has to invite you or something.
If I get an invite, I'll send you the invite, because
Ah,
it'd be great
brilliant.
treats as well. So yeah, and website. So it's all Zinc Media Agency, all one word. You'll find me across all the platforms there, and the same for the website. Then it's zincmediaagency.com. That has my services list on there, but there's stuff on there that I haven't listed. So if you have an idea or that something that you want to do, the best thing to do is just message me, because I'm very honest. If I don't know how to do it, I sometimes know someone that does, and I refer them on. You know, I'm not like, no, well, I don't do it, so no one else can have the business. I pass it on to whoever I know will do the job justice. Like,
That's brilliant. Well, Taralouise, I really appreciate you taking your time out your day to have a chat with us. Thanks very much for coming on the podcast, and I'll see you again.
Yeah, I see you're on my one.
Yeah, well, in the next couple of months, if you get one up and going and you want a pirate on your podcast, I'll definitely hop on.
Thank you very much.